Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, chief guests, the President and the Governing Council members of CPM Sri Lanka, the fellow judges, distinguished invitees, ladies and gentlemen. So as a chairman of a panel of judges, my task is to explain about the inaugural Management Leadership Excellence Awards, the background. Well, let me put it to acronym of CPM, how we have conceptualized the practice and management insights. So if you look at the whole conceptualization led by the President, the Council members, and we have looked at a couple of literature sources, particularly the leading research domains. Of course, we realize that we have an implicit task of bringing management into the forefront. So management is a process, we know the book definition of planning, organizing, leading, controlling. It's an integrative function. It's a mixing, blending task. Of course, Professor also highlighted that it's a mixing well, but without messing it up. But having said that, we realize that there is a management side. The Professor Wattavala also highlighted that there's a stability, the orderliness, whereas leadership is the building houses. The managers love to keep the housekeeping in order, but both are required. So we realize that leadership in management, management in leadership. Having looked at that, so we realize the management, leadership, and the task and people. So when you are looking at this dichotomy, it was distinct. The left side is more task management, task leadership, whereas the right side, people management, people leadership. So the challenge that both the speakers have articulated, how to take from this task thinking to the people, inspiration, that drive. For that matter, we went further down. We looked at a couple of other sources. Way back, about 25 years back, the Creative Center for Leadership has done a fantastic research. They have invited nearly 200 plus scholars all over the world, nearly about 5 days kind of deliberations. Interestingly, they have found out 6 factors. The factor number 1 is the position. Number 2 is person. Number 3 is we call followers, led, subordinates. Number 4 is the context. Number 5 is the result, the impact. But there's the 6th factor. There's the I factor. Influencing, inspiring, instructing, impacting, whatever we call it. Interestingly, they have deliberated for 5 days and they have come out with a fantastic distinction. All 6 areas important. But ladies and gentlemen, the quintessential essence of the research, leadership is about there is no inspiration, there is no influencing, there is no instructing, there is no leadership. That's the definition. With that, we further went ahead by looking at year 2000 to 2020. In that case, we got a lot of literature backing from Boston Consulting Group, the led strategy related growth mindset related literature. It was interestingly found it out, it's moving from survive to thrive to inspire. In fact, there are 10 qualities and particularly the inspiration is the core. So particularly the post-pandemic time, it was further argued and tried to twist with survive, reset, thrive. But the essence is survive to thrive to inspire. With that, ladies and gentlemen, may I say that, let me come to the practice. So that is where the CPM intervention, that's what Professor Wattavala said very clearly, look, we want to put into action. So in that sense, after a lot of deliberations, we have come out with these 7 key leadership competencies. So put you into a perspective. So we look at the first one. Here you can see each word is with the actionable word, driving factor, demonstrating visionary leadership. That's what Professor Ali Katabi also highlighted. And when you are looking at the second one, you can see that the dimension of bringing innovation, creativity into the forefront. And looking at the third one is what about the larger, bigger picture of getting involved with showcasing community service, orientation, and no CSR. So that's the broader perspective. We looked at the number 4 is engaging in brand building and achieving market or business excellence. And number 5, it's all about enabling diversification and growth strategy. So no growth, no drive to next level. The number 6, we have realized, we found it out. What about the managerial dimension? Exhibiting exemplary management skills. And the final one is the way forward, the futuristic, is about inspiring strategic leadership and the trend capitalization. So here, ladies and gentlemen, we have not just found it out 7 areas. It is supported by each one with clear demarcation, 5 distinct leadership characteristics. So interestingly, what we have found it out in the practice, in most of our management discussions, interviews, when we are asking about, would you like to explain your leadership characteristics? Well, she is, so that's the regular phenomena. So we have realized that this is opening, because in line with our Best Management Practices Company Awards, the success, the 5th edition is coming up. What we have realized, what we have gained, some of the key insights, mainly they were talking about that, what about this leadership factor? Why you are not recognizing that? So that is what CPM's intervention. So here, ladies and gentlemen, with that, may I go to my 3rd area. So as the MC said that the numbers about over 100, is quite stunning in terms of the overwhelming response of the inaugural Management Leadership Excellence Award. So we had the categories. Under the Executive Director Leadership, the 60% of responses from them. So we love to share some insights, some of the responses in a pictorial manner. So if I invite you to have a look at, you can see that number 1 and number 6, that is demonstrating visionary leadership as well as the exemplary, the management skills, that got the highest portion, 18%. Whereas you can see that the social orientation, particularly CSR community, that side is the next, the 15%. So then, when you are looking at the 5th leadership competency, that is where the enabling the diversification and the growth strategy. So with regard to number 13, so the number 4, that is like relatively the lesser next number. So that is where particularly the marketing brand excellence aspects coming into picture. And if you look at the 12th, is about driving innovation and creativity. Interestingly, even though the executive director level, it is expected to have a higher portion of driving strategy and the trend capitalization, but that counts 10%. So that is the scenario. So that has a lot of implications. We can further dwell on, but this is not the forum for that. With that, ladies and gentlemen, may I move to the other category, the rest 40%. So if you look at the responses, somewhat like on par, but some distinct differences. So if you look at here, even though we are not going for a comparison, like the driving innovation and creativity, so that is where the corporate management is pushed for. Like looking at engaging in the business, marketing, brand presence, so that is, those 2 are the highest. And when it comes to CSR aspects, I think that is where the corporate management would like to engage in. So in that sense, you can see it's the 15%. And looking at particularly the strategy growth aspects at around 14%, that's the response. And interestingly, the strategic, the leadership and the trend capitalization aspect. So the future leaders have that aspiration towards engaging in that. So that counts 13%. And particularly the growth strategy aspects 12%, because in most cases the higher level would give them the direction and for them to deliver. But in some other cases and some other submissions, we have realized that it is not the case. And having said that, you can see the distinction between executive level versus the corporate level. That is where the visionary. But our chief guest said the visionary leadership is the game changer for the future. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, what we want to tell that this is not just another award, but that award signifies a kind of a demarcation, literature, practice, skills, and boundary for us to look at, explore further. And with that, I'm sure, as Professor Wattawala said, This country needs this. The CPM has this implicit responsibility of coming forward, and we have responded with this. So therefore, may I conclude, it's all about rising together. Let's stand and rise together for the moment. Thank you very much.